Oh, okay. Welcome back to episodes here in season 2. Got a pretty exciting day today. We've got Todd Tucker here. We've got Dani Crain in the studio.
And we got Mr. Conway in the studio. Look at that.
I think Dani was on time today.
I was on time.
Holy, like right
are you
right
perpetually late, Dani?
You know,
yeah. She was right on time today.
And this is probably something that Todd doesn't know about me, because when I worked for Todd, I was I was on time usually all the time.
I have no signs of this from this guy. Like, she was totally on point and was one of the best employees I ever had.
Nice.
Nice to say thank you. I appreciate that.
So this episode,
I'm not saying it just because I'm on a podcast.
Yeah,
this is like we have royalty in the studio, so we got to.
Oh man, I'm so excited!
Like the king of parking here.
So we didn't even give you a proper introduction. I'm so sorry. Well, I guess it's a little late now, but everyone, please welcome Mr. Todd Tucker to the studio.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys.
Woo! Let's see.
Oh
my God!
There you go.
There we go.
Sorry, I'm a little late today. It's too early.
Running a little slow this morning.
I only do your podcast in the afternoon, don't you?
I know. I've got a beer. I'm on my first beer, so normally I'm like 3 deep before we start this.
Well, because normally we do them like in the afternoon, like late afternoon, early evening. Right around happy hour time.
Yeah,
and we typically will start them.
I do my best banter after the 12 o'clock hour. So
Dani's like usually 15 or 20 minutes late. So,
you have to
I'm getting better
to give her the day of catch.
That's right.
I feel like you're like our studio is in like another state or from where I live anyway. So it takes me a little while to get here.
You're right.
Yeah. I'm basically going to like Nebraska when I travel this way.
What are you, like 13 episodes in now? So,
I'm getting better. My time management is getting better. Every single episode is getting better.
Okay.
So
that's just part of getting older.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are we talking about here? We're going to be talking about Todd's journey, I guess. We're going to be talking, so one of the things with our show, Todd, is we talk about what we're telling our family, in the business, what we're doing. And
sure.
we love hearing everybody's stories, because it's a story to tell people you're in parking, especially when you have so many advanced degrees as you.
God.
You're an attorney.
I was going to say, one of the most decorated people in parking.
You've got all the credentials. So anyways, I guess, before we dive into serious stuff, what are you telling your family you do these days?
Does your family actually know what you do? Like,
I know this has probably been said by half of your guests on this podcast in all your seasons, but my family doesn't know what I do. I tell them I still park cars because it's just fun to watch that conversation evolve from there at Thanksgiving dinner. Like, wait, what? How old are you? 52? Yeah, you're still parking cars? Yeah, man, it's great business. I'll park cars. So that's the joke, but I'm still parking cars, man, just one way or another.
And you've been parking cars for 30 plus years, right?
Yeah, I think I'm proud of that.
That's a long journey.
It's a long time to do anything, right? Be married, have a job, be alive, anything.
Yes, that's I'm at 29. So I'm not quite over the 30 mark.
I still got some time. I still got some time.
You'll get there. You're a rising star. No, look, parking's been a great business for me. It's funny. I look back at that, and I was just having a conversation with someone the other day that again, like most people in this industry, I never would have guessed this is where I would have ended up. And because I had ended up here, I've had a wonderful life. I've traveled. It sounds like I'm dying tomorrow. Hopefully I have another 20 or 30 years left in my old ass. Am I allowed to cuss on your podcast?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Please.
I've got
please do.
Fuck, thank God.
I've got a button. I can bleep it. I need this thing.
But we actually never get to use that properly.
Yeah.
I always like to say fuck.
I'll try to keep the F-bombs to a minimum, but that's just how I roll.
But
the places I've gotten to go, I was always underqualified for where I was at the moment in time, and probably present journey included. But the amount of opportunities I've had, the places I've gone, the people I've met, the things I've been a part of, I don't know that I would have been able to do that someplace else. you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing I've said in the past is I love parking because I've never been trapped to a desk.
Yep.
Yep.
And I'm not a desk person by any
Really?
means.
Seriously?
No.
I would not have guessed that,
Yeah.
John.
Yeah. So I've got to be moving around. You can
I thought
see.
you were like
I mean,
a spreadsheet guy. Like you really like to do the spreadsheets.
You like the data, though.
oh,
You
I
do
like the data. I like looking at fancy, colorful dashboards.
That you didn't create, though.
That I didn't create. That's for sure.
Todd, I love that perspective. Like I feel very, very fortunate to have literally tripped into this industry because I don't like the people that I've met, the places that I've been able to go and the things that I've been able to do. I don't think I ever would have gotten to do had it not been for my career in parking, which is really pretty incredible to think about. Like when people are like, you travel everywhere, you get to meet cool people, you get to go to these great conferences. Like I still don't know what you do.
To different countries, you're going to air traffic.
Yeah, like
all the cool stuff you get to do.
Exactly. So it's been wonderful to all of us.
I'm here for the long haul.
I
think
I am too. For sure.
I'm not going anywhere.
O.J. Simpson died.
Did you
by
see
the way
that?
today?
What?
Did you see that?
Unbelievable. It's crazy.
I used to be a huge fan of that guy. Obviously, growing up, he was just like the man back in the '80s, and then some bad things happened. I don't know how I feel about that, but it's still sad to see an icon die.
Lately on Twitter,
may or may not have done.
Yeah, lately on Twitter, he's been a like a fantasy football guy all over Twitter. I mean, you wouldn't have known that he was battling cancer. At least I didn't know.
Wow.
It was kind of a shocker.
That's a big shocker. It always comes in threes. It's been silent for a while. So,
So we're just waiting for the next two.
I'm talking about famous people, right? All the famous people usually go in threes, they say. So that's the first one in a stretch. So,
back to parking.
Back to parking.
So I'm a military veteran. You're a military veteran. So I think you started.
Thank you both for your service, by the way.
Thank you. So you started like a movement, Veterans in Parking. And why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, and actually, it was funny. My first podcast
can we back up just a little bit, because I think that this goes into how you got into parking, right? Because you were military first and then into parking, or did you split? Were you parking, military parking?
No, I was military. My dad basically said, get out or go in the military. And so I didn't have any choices. So I went in the military, came back and, tried to go to college and tried to figure out what I wanted to do. And like a lot of people that were pre-parking, you end up in the service industry and retail or something like that, and then that's where they like to recruit from, because you know how to work long hours and your abuse threshold is higher than a lot of other folks. So I found my way into parking in the mid '90s. My good buddy Jason Finch, Todd Brocious, Robert Sizik, a lot of the guys we all still know
those
today.
names.
Yeah, you know them. They're famous. They're parking royalty. They took a shot on me, and they're still dear friends today. And started with the military, and then like I said, I took a job in parking in Miami, running one parking garage in Coconut Grove. Back when you actually got a job by looking in the newspaper for ads, right? It wasn't. I didn't Google it, right?
I've said that.
It was like parking garage manager, no experience needed, and and I was making and at the time I made $39,000 a year, and I was ready to buy the boat, the condo in Aspen.
Wow,
you're making the big bucks.
I started at 20,000, so you were ahead of me by like 9,000.
I thought I'd landed in all the riches I could ever need in this life. So, and look again, then it started there started the journey in the mid '90s down in Miami, and guess where I live now? Back in South Florida near Miami, where it all started.
I know you've been around the horn. You were in Chicago. You were. Right?
Chicago, Detroit, San Francisco, New York. Pretty much those are the four big stops. Like I sort of did this big loop through the U.S. and came back. Yeah.
Right.
Back in the Miami area.
Yeah, I love South Florida. It's great. You guys got to come visit.
I'm all for Florida. So, so what branch of service were you in?
I served in the Marine Corps. We were.
Hoorah.
Yeah, absolutely. Hoorah. Those get louder as I get drunker.
Yeah.
It's a sort of a rule. But I was served with a group out of we were a reserve unit out of West Virginia, the 1st Combat Engineer Battalion. They're still dear friends today, and love those guys like brothers. We get together, here 32 or 33 years later, we still get together every year on the Marine Corps birthday and celebrate our time together during the Gulf War. So it's still a very special part of my life. A lot of pride there.
Yeah, my father-in-law was in the Marines. God bless him, and God rest his soul. But he used to make fun of me every day. I was a puddle pirate in his realm.
What is that? I don't. You're gonna
I
have
was
to
in the
explain.
Coast Guard. So,
okay, so that's
he called me a puddle pirate.
yeah.
Coast Guard's pretty badass these days. These guys are shooting 50 cal automatics off of the bow of ships at pirates and drug lords. I don't think I'd be feeling good about calling you a puddle pirate or anybody in the Coast Guard.
I know he was kind of like I've said in past shows. I think getting on and off those boats is, as you saw those 2 Navy SEALs go missing.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to get off those tankers.
Yeah.
That's what I was most afraid of. I was afraid of heights. So the thought of climbing up a 10-story merchant ship at 3 o'clock in the morning,
terrifying. I mean, I remember being on the USS Tripoli, and when we were going over, and we actually hit a mine and had to evacuate. That's how I got my combat action ribbon. My first combat action ribbon was being on a ship that hit a mine.
Holy shit!
Wow. I started taking on water, and it's one of the ships that had to be towed back to San Diego. But that was pretty interesting.
That is fucking traumatic.
It's just
that's a traumatic moment.
It was like 500, and the ship basically hit a mine. We were lucky Marines, a Marine unit, in the sense that we had snagged some racks in the berthing unit up in the medical hold, which was like it might as well have been Ritz-Carlton, right? And there's guys buried in the bowels of the ship, sleeping literally six stacked.
Wow.
And a bunch of those guys died. Marines and sailors died because they were down there. So just by luck of the draw, I was at the top of the ship away from that, and woke up about 30 feet from my rack, because a ship, when it gets hit by a mine, the front end goes like this.
Wow.
So everybody on there falls this way. So we all landed against the wall.
So in a moment like that, you can separate, you can see who's made for a moment, right?
Yeah, I mean, we all pissed our pants a little bit. Like, I'm not gonna, you don't. It just, it's an experience, right? But
no, but that's a moment where you separate them. There's some people that probably curled up like a baby in the corner and didn't move, right? I mean, that's one of those moments.
Honestly, certainly everybody in my unit, they manned up. I'm sure there may have been somebody curled up in the corner, but I didn't see them. We were just trying to get the hell off the ship so we didn't drown.
I'm sure. I had nothing like that. There was no mine, but we interdicted a boat that had cocaine, marijuana. And this boat
does that come out on this podcast?
Yeah. This boat was,
I'll get real fun then.
This boat was taking on water, like it was sinking. So in the middle of the night, we stayed on because we were turning them over to the Venezuelan Coast Guard, which they didn't know.
Yep.
But and when the Venezuelans showed up and we turned over all the stuff, they were begging to go to Miami. They kept saying, aren't we going to Miami? It was like, no, you're not going to Miami. You're going with those guys. So
in the back of my mind, while you're talking about this, I'm hearing the Miami Vice theme song.
Yeah. Well, that's because they knew they were going to go to Miami and get treated and probably like kings and then released and then into the wild and then disappear and go back to what they were doing. So they were not happy about being turned over. But so we started losing comms with the Navy ship. So because the fucking water was coming on and it was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So lost the radio. And, these guys supposedly didn't speak English whatsoever. So we had a translator, but that person was on the Navy ship. So, and we're supposed to have a translator with us all the time, but one of those moments we just didn't. So I'm literally with a fucking flashlight. There's a big Aegis cruiser off the tail, and I'm sitting here trying to get their attention at like 3 a.m. Like, we're fucking sinking. I have no way to talk to anybody. There was like 4 of us on there. So finally you get their attention. I can see like the deck lights come on. I can see that they're launching a boat. They come over and, what's going on? It's like, we're fucking sinking.
Yeah.
So
it's and like I said, the ocean's terrifying. I used to go up on the flight deck we were on, and the Tripoli was an LPH carrier, which is one size down from an aircraft carrier, meaning only vertical takeoff and landing aircraft could go, like Harrier jump jets and helicopters could take off, but it was still at a big flight deck. So I'd just go up there and, board as shit and stare at the ocean. And, the things I saw, like over at night, and I'd see things the size of school buses swimming under the ocean around the back of our ship. We went through schools of sea snakes, like 10,000, like just like a carpet of sea snakes.
And they probably ran darkened ship, right? So the red, and when you go out on the deck at night, it's all dark.
It's all dark.
Some of the best stars I've seen out there.
Oh, I could definitely do that for the view of the stars. But
the fear of going into the ocean, though.
Ocean is
funny,
creepy.
You guys will laugh. That was 32 or 33 years ago for me. And I just went on my first cruise in my life since then. Like, people ask me to go on a cruise, I'm like, I'm not going on a cruise. The government sent me on a cruise for 2 years. And it sucked.
That was the same way, by the way.
Puked off the side of the ship for the first 7 days. But then so we went on this cruise, and it was actually pretty nice. But I would sit on the balcony, 33 years later, and stare out the ocean. And I was having those thoughts as we were going through the Caribbean, like looking at the water, going, "Wow, it's been a long time since I sat on a ship and watched the ocean go by." And think about how insignificant you feel in that body of water.
Completely different experience. Two completely different experiences.
Yeah, this time I had a bourbon. I was probably 4 bourbons deep, and I had a
The first time not so much. Yeah.
It was a little different last time.
Anyway, just to finish real quick, the RNA team came over and started pumping the water out from the Navy. So these were the Navy guys throwing up all kinds of shit because this was a smaller boat. Like going, how are you guys doing this? Meanwhile, we're like a day and a half in, no shower, nothing. This boat smelled. They smelled. I mean, it was gross, but just to see those guys freaking out over the side, throwing up.
For those
it's
of
like
you that are listening, that are thinking about joining the military, here's your public service announcement. Ask a few more questions on the brochure. Right?
Yeah. So the whole rest of the cruise, it was like, who's the puddle pirate, man? You couldn't be over there for 20 minutes without throwing up.
That life probably was not set for me. So I did. Although when I was younger, I did tell my parents that I wanted to be a Marine. They'll tell you this.
You'd have been an awesome WM.
Really?
Yeah.
You think so?
Because you're very well. First of all, people think military is like it's like physical prowess. It's all mental, and you're very strong mentally and intelligent. You'd have been really good.
Like so in the small town that I grew up in, our little strip mall, the only mall that we had, there were inside they had the different branches of military. They were all right next to each other. So every time we would go to the food court, like we would always sit in this little area. And so I was like, I think I want to be a Marine. And my mom was like,
and are they looking at you from there going like, come here?
Yeah. I
can see you in the hat. Yeah. The green hat with the kind of square look.
Yeah. And I never, as I went into high school and started thinking more about it and wanted to go down a different route, which I did want to be a lawyer. I went to college with the intentions of going to law school.
Yeah.
And completely went a different direction.
Well, you're doing all right.
But so never went into the military. But
so tell us about the veterans, parking veterans.
So I want to make sure I give proper credit here. I think proper credit actually for We Should Do X goes to Jeremy Duplechin. If you know Jeremy,
I'm
actually not sure who Jeremy's with now. He was with a couple different parking equipment companies there for a while, but he, myself, Doug Cram from Cramsey Marketing out on the West Coast. I think it was like 6 or 8 years ago. We were inspired by the lovely Ruth Beeman, dear friend of mine, and Women in Parking, and watching what they were doing. And I was a big supporter of Women in Parking. And, we were just inspired that there's these amazing veterans out there that don't necessarily know all the good careers that maybe exist inside parking. It's certainly not something that, the transitional counselors as you come out of the military are going, have you considered a career in the parking and transportation industry? No, we're probably pretty far down the list, but amazing people. I'm not pointing my fingers at myself on that, but amazing people that usually have really high work ethics and are usually, very technically skilled. And just, they don't know what they don't know. So we started this charity called Veterans in Parking. I guess it's probably 6 or 7 years old now. I'm no longer on the board or actively participating, but I try to help them as much as I can. But was very proud to be a founding member and to see it take off, and it's continued to grow. And with the mission of connecting veterans with jobs.
Okay. So, and I think at some point you guys they have booths at the MPA and stuff.
We started doing that right out of the gate. I think we've got a couple different partnerships with some of the bigger parking associations. We've got connections with a lot of and there are like transitional counselors with all the branches that we appear in their job boards. They appear in our job boards.
So what do they need? What do they need? Do they need like sponsors? Do they need money?
Yep.
To kind of get the word out to military veterans?
Kudos to my boy Juan from Flash, founder of Flash. He was my very first corporate sponsor. He paid us $5,000 and made Flash be the first sponsor that we had as corporate. And yes, so sponsorships or just working to actively post open roles on the sort of the open resource platform that they've got, so that if you've got jobs, go there first, so you can put your job requisition there. So
where would people go that are listening that want to potentially sponsor? Is there a website?
Yeah, and honestly, it's if you just Google veterans in parking, it's going to come up.
Okay,
I think it's www.vip.com or .org.
Everybody hear that?
Yeah,
Google.
We'll look it up and then we'll drop it in the links
on this episode. Yeah, Google veterans in parking and go from there.
Yeah, like I as I've gotten a little older and a little wiser, I definitely try to give back. Like this is a place of veterans are one of the most underrepresented. I can tell you that the military did nothing but take from me. They never gave me much other than training and experiences. But veterans, a lot of veterans have a rough go getting benefits, getting jobs, despite what public sentiment might feel like. It's actually harder than you would believe to get veterans benefits or get veteran support. So very underrepresented group that I'm happy that we started that.
I honestly, the military gave me a lot. I went to college first and then I went in the military. So it was kind of opposite of what people do. And going from a fraternity house, I literally, my parents had my aunt and uncle where I was doing the entry to the, MEPS?
Yeah.
Like the night.
Military.
So the night before they had me sleeping over at my aunt and uncle's, and all they did is try to talk me out of this. They couldn't believe that I was doing this.
I was a military family, so nobody tried to talk me out of anything. They were trying to throw me into it to get me the hell out of my house. I was a little bit of a jackass when I was 17 when I joined. So I probably needed it, but
they gave you the either or the or. You do this or you
honestly, I'm a firm believer. I think everybody should have to serve 1 or 2 years and go into that environment.
I would agree with that if veteran benefit programs improve just a little bit,
right?
Because they do take a lot. They took my hearing. I'm deaf in my left ear.
Yeah, so you went through a lot.
They took. They took as much as they gave. There was a year and a half where they didn't even pay me. They couldn't. I'm doing air quotes for those that are at home. They couldn't find me to cut my check. So my dad was having to send me $200 whole a month to be able to buy deodorant.
They couldn't find you. That's such bullshit. Yeah. They can find anybody.
The good news is I had like $5,000 waiting for me when they actually found me, and I went and bought a motorcycle with it.
Yeah. You didn't buy a boat.
That's right.
Yeah, baby. Woo!
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah, I know a lot of veterans, and it seems like the transition from military to civilian life is actually quite difficult for many reasons.
And the deeper you go into the sort of the warrior ranks, the combat guys, the harder it is.
I'm sure there's traumatic experiences all the way down the line that make it harder to come back. I'm sure. I fortunately didn't have too many of those. My role was more law enforcement, but it was, there was moments but it just certainly shaped me for the future and gave me a sense of discipline that I probably needed coming out of that fraternity house.
You don't have much discipline now, so that wore off pretty quick.
Yeah, probably. I'm sure Mike Drow would agree with you.
Yeah. Degraded after a few years.
Okay, so veterans and parking. So you started your career with ABM, is that?
No, I started with Central Parking. I think you and I started at the same fraternity, which is its whole separate fraternity.
Yeah, that's right.
At Central Parking back in the 90s, and again, got some really good people to give me an opportunity. Then when I probably wasn't qualified, sort of walk in the garage that day. They say you're hired, and they throw you a set of keys, and you're in charge of a couple parking garages. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, what? What do I do? And
Right.
And so that's how I started. But Central was very good to me. Still very much a legendary company. Monroe Carroll was very good to me, and like a lot of people from there. I could go on and on.
I know. I've said it on previous shows. The bond that the Central alum have.
Oh yeah,
it's like no other.
Kendra Petty, who you had on your show, which is just one of my absolute mentors. She's like a sister.
Such a wonderful person.
Rob Toy.
I'm
gonna have those guys. I want to have Rob Toy on. I want to have a couple of the guys. Brad McGee.
Oh yeah.
Brad and I are saving until
you should have a Central Parking, like 3 people at one time, like the old
just a little reunion.
Should.
A reunion.
Brad McGee and I have talked about having like the show after I don't have a job and he doesn't have a job, so we could just totally go off and not have to worry about anything. No, but it would be pretty funny.
So Central Parking was my start.
You're already replacing me, John? Thanks.
No. Never.
Irreplaceable. Central Parking was the start. A great run there, maybe a decade with them. Started in Miami, ended up in Detroit. And then I ended up with I was at L&R for like a hot minute before they sold their assets to ABM, and that's how I got to ABM. ABM, another great company, very good to me. A lot of good friends over there. And then I made a hot jump over to Town Park, which after Jerry South left, after Jerry South left the company,
right,
it wasn't quite the same place that it was then. So I got a little bit of Jerry South time, which was great. And then I got post Jerry South, which wasn't so great.
It's amazing how, sometimes they say one person can't, isn't the difference. Man. But there truly is with a company. There is there one person can make a difference.
I just saw him for the first time at the NPA Winter Leadership. It's a few months ago. And man, he's the same guy, same humble, likable.
I saw him there too.
Yeah.
I was surprised because I haven't seen him for a while.
Yep. It's great to see him back out there. He's one of the old guard,
I think the last time I saw him was a Bogey and Bird event.
What a great golf event that was.
Yeah, I know.
What I can remember. I was usually blind by halfway through. And then after that, I met my good friend Ashish Dalal, founder of ParkWiz, and stayed there. We went from ParkWiz to Arrive to then Flash for better part of 9 years. And then that came to an end last year.
You really, ParkWiz and Arrive really was you, right?
Oh, I'm not going to take credit for that. I appreciate you saying that.
I mean, from the outside looking in, I'm sure there were founders and developers and people that were really important, but you added a tremendous face to that.
There's one thing I'll take credit for: bringing really good people in, like Dani. That and it's interesting because I'm building a team now at my new firm, and it's a really special blend to find the right mix of people that get along, that have the right work ethic, that are strong enough but not too strong. They have all. That's just a very delicate balance, and we had a really good time for a number of years, and we crushed it for a long time.
Right.
It was and we've talked about this a lot too. We've had shows on leadership, and and when I went over. Going to hopping from operations over to Arrive was a no-brainer for me, right? I loved David Weber. Yeah. I loved Vlad. We had such a great team, but you built an incredible organization that it made it easy, and it made it really hard to leave. So
you broke my heart, but I can't be mad at somebody when they.
But it made it so hard. I know
this has been a meteoric jump for you, so I was mad for about 10 minutes.
So made it hard.
So tell us, what was it like being at Arrive when you were you a part of the conversation when Flash was acquiring, and what was that like? Tell us about it.
I don't think I'm getting in trouble here. We were pretty far down the path with another company at the time of sort of doing a 180 and going back to Flash, and we were pretty ingrained. I'm not going to say their name because privacy and confidentiality and all that, but a very well-known company in the industry. We were pretty far down the path, and it was just taking a lot longer than it should have. It's not just the number you get and the deal you do. It's how fast can you actually consummate the marriage. And I think Dan Sharplin was trying his best to get Yona who was our CEO at the time, and Dan Rorty to take his calls, and they wouldn't even respond to him. It was this crazy guy from Texas that's calling. And so Dan and I talked, and we got.
So was Rorty with Arrive?
He was, yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Rorty had come in maybe about 18 months before, maybe 2 years before.
Okay.
Rorty's a great guy. He's a smart guy. Taught me a lot. Great dude. Good friend. And so, yeah, I sort of convinced him. I said, I think you should take this meeting. And so one thing led to another, and Flash was just able to move a lot faster than the other firm.
Right.
And it was, and the next thing you know, we were closing, and there it was. It
was kind of exciting at first, right?
At first, yeah. I mean, it was. Yeah. I think again, Flash is going to be fine. It got a little too crowded for me.
Right.
We sort of bought all these companies, 10 or 12 companies, slammed them together, and didn't. We were so focused on that top line and the growth and continuing to do that we didn't think about all the details underneath. And those things are important. And those details started to fester and manifest, and it got a little harder, especially if you were sort of in the upper echelon executive team to find a purpose, right?
I mean, we talked about it our last show with Ethan Glass we had on, and it's hard to. It takes a certain discipline to not look at the new shiny object, and kind of run after it. And I'm not insinuating that's what they did.
Yeah,
I'm just saying when you're building a business, you could look at too many shining objects. And really, you have to stay disciplined, in my opinion, and focus on what you are good at and your core.
I learned lessons, and now I'm at Parking Logix, which has been coming up on a year, which I'm having.
I know that's exciting. I can't wait to talk about that.
I'm really excited to hear that. Yeah, I'm excited to hear the new.
I'm trying to take the lessons I learned because it's easy, and I want to defend anybody at Flash that gets accused of the shiny object. It's hard to know what to pick and what not to pick, right? Because the clients out there are fickle. You never know what's going to stick and what isn't going to stick. And you're afraid that the one thing that you don't take and develop some resources to, seeing if there's a there, that you're going to miss the boat. And so it's hard to sit in the captain's chair and see these 40 opportunities and say, we're going to work on these 10 only, or we're going to ignore these 30. It's really hard to do that.
Right.
Because, some stick and some are worthless, but I guess that's why you get, quote unquote, get paid the big bucks when you're sitting in the CEO spot. But it's harder. I have a real appreciation for it now. It's hard to be able to say no to something.
It is
when your entire existence is about growth, right? So,
right. I mean,
you've got to feel it.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I think you align yourself with partners that do things better than you, and you still remain. You keep that core focused on what you're really good at, and then you align yourself with technologies that you can work with and surround yourself with that. And I think that's
alignment in the process is huge.
That's helped us. I know there's several things that we're doing that might be, we've aligned ourselves with people that do it better, and we're still focused on, rather than building something, which we probably could, but build something that somebody else is already really good at. It makes sense to just keep building on the thing that we're really good at.
Well, it's so funny you say that. I think hopefully I've got another couple decades in me in this industry, but I think I found my mission for the rest of my time in this industry is to be an evangelist for what you just said. Right. Is, everybody talks, everybody likes to throw around the big words, collaboration, teamwork, integration. They don't really mean it. Half the time people just mean we want to get close enough with you to steal your ideas and then try to do it ourselves.
Which is, we talked about last show too.
And it
stinks.
And so we've created this environment where, I don't know, people are scared to take risks about partnering with others. And I couldn't agree more. I think one of the reasons that parking sort of has lagged behind in terms of innovation and moving forward with the rest of the world is because you've got these firms. I'm not going to say names. They're trying to be all things to all people. And all I've ever done in my life when I tried to do too many things was do all of it terribly.
Right.
Or a very diluted version of each thing. So, it's you guys, Mike Dro, others have worked on that parking data standard project for a long time. I think.
What is it, Dani?
You always ask me this.
Come on.
You tell me what it is.
Man.
Alliance for Parking Data Standards, APDS.
ADPS. Thank you.
Yes.
Don't ask me, obviously.
You know what? That's Dani's favorite show that we did.
It's so fun. It was so
you know,
fun.
if people haven't
time.
listened to that show, you have to go back and listen to it because it was one of the beginning shows that we did. And literally, we didn't prepare. We had a pretty in-depth spreadsheet that we were working off of. Not a spreadsheet, a presentation.
A presentation, yeah.
And it's funny to go back and listen to it. But you know what? The message I believe in, I think it's important. We're members. And I think it's important for the industry. I don't think it's something that we should have been doing on our own on this show. We probably should have had an expert, but we were trying to make APDS fun, right, Dani?
We were.
You were trying to make fetch happen.
We were trying to give it some flair, and it didn't. I don't know if it came across. But
I'm
going to have a pin. I'm going to get us pins.
Please do. So every time you ask me, I can just look at your pen.
Tattoo it on your arm.
Yeah.
But look, I think the future of us as an industry is paved with us finding smart partnerships and being willing to cede a little ground to another firm, of course, under the auspices of correct economics and the right, contractual protections and all that. Nobody's going to be foolish, but if you try to be all things to all people, you're going to disappoint. And I can tell you that most of the clients out there, the cities, the municipalities, the universities, this is the number one thing they'll complain about. And they want us all just to figure out how to work together. I'm going to use you, Parking Logix. I'm going to combine you with Modi. I'm going to also combine you with MyStall and their cameras. These are real examples. And I want you to cooperate. Because I'm sorry, we did the analysis. They've got a few things you don't. You've got a few things they don't. And switching costs are high. So we're gonna diversify. We're gonna diversify our technology choices to future-proof ourselves, right?
I mean, I'll probably champion and mention this every show just because that's how important it is. Again, there's a lot of people that are throwing up cameras and trying to do what we do. We just kind of sit back and laugh because doing the service side of this and the compliance side for 23 years, lawsuits. I mean, all the stuff in the. I just look at some companies and go, "Oh, it's going to be fun." Not fun. I shouldn't say that, but watching that shit show go down. Right? People doing things that is in violation of the FDCPA, the Driver's Privacy Protection Act. Some of these people don't even think about it. They just run down the rabbit hole and like, "Oh, this is easy." And I think we're starting to see that come to roost right now. I mean, I'm getting calls from people that, went with somebody else and then realized, holy shit, there's a lot more to this, right? No shit.
I think we got an article coming out in IPMI this year, me and Ethan from Accra, who you just had. And we're really talking about the fact that the longer we keep up this sort of nonsense of not cooperating with each other, the harder it's going to get to sell. Because what you see now is you see clients who are, they don't want to commit. They want to do a pilot or something like that, right? They want to dip their toe in the water with you with the least amount of risk possible. They don't want to pay. And we've done that because they've had so many bad experiences of people telling them they're going to do something and it didn't work out. It didn't break. So they naturally have scar tissue around that.
Right.
So now for those of us that are trying to sell technology or solutions, our job's harder because they don't trust us now. They're like, okay, so-and-so firm X and firm Y, they said they were going to be able to do this and they didn't do it. So now, I've got baggage and, and so I've got to be careful. And so it slows everything down. It slows innovation down. It slows, vendor, permeation of their technology out there and technology adoption down. And, I don't know. We talked about it in the written summary. Private equity's driven that with unreasonable. They put money in the industry. They have crazy expectations of what growth should be. So then salespeople say and do anything they can to get a deal in the door,
of course,
without necessarily perfectly collaborating with their engineering team. That's a very easy thing to fall into, and the vicious cycle continues.
Yeah. So I think there's that side. There's the software and the companies doing what they do best, collaborating side of our industry, and then there's the collaboration on legal and legislation. And I mean, where we want to go as an industry, I hear all the fancy, mobility and, everybody's latched on to that term and gateless and all this stuff. Well, if you're going to be all that, then, license plates, credentialing, how are you working with DMVs, to states to get certain data that we'll need, right? There's still certain states that are closed down. So how are you going to be, a mobility? Municipalities are kind of doing things, and they're just kind of, our partners at IPMI and the municipalities, those of you that are listening, that work for the municipalities, what are you doing for the private side?
Yeah.
And how are we going to make this all mesh together to truly have a smart city? Like, if I hear smart city one more time, it just makes me want to jump off a building, because nobody's doing anything smart to make it a smart city.
Well, and I think that's because a lot of people don't want to collaborate, right? And that's within operators, technology, and private owners, like municipalities, right? Like municipalities are now going to operators to be like, what can you offer us? Do you have your own technology? Municipalities don't understand like what it takes to to produce like these technologies, and having an operator who produces their own technology is probably not the best way to go.
Well, and I'm sorry, for all my operator friends out there. You're not a technology company.
No, right.
It's not Field of Dreams. Just because you built an app doesn't mean they will come, right?
Right.
Building an app was 1/1 billionth of a percent of what we took at ParkWiz, and it was the 10 years past that of $75 million constant evolution.
I mean, everybody that's in technology,
of people on the front end and back end trying to make it work, right? And I think that the need, again, we can, we wanted to be all things to all people move again, right? It's
your technology in 6 months, if you don't have developers constantly we have a monthly update to our software. Sure. So if you don't have people constantly doing that, you're in the dust.
Well,
and I don't think operators are built that way.
People think if you build that app that, okay, it's done. Let's move on to the next project. No,
that project never ends.
You just picked up a lifelong baby, and you better
That's right.
you better nurture that child.
Well, and I don't necessarily think that they're doing a good job of asking their clients their wants and their needs, right? They're like, oh, this is what we're seeing in the industry. This is what we're going to do. We're going to start from the basics. We're just going to get you an app. We're going to get you something where you can just pay for your parking. But what do the clients really want? Like, and I think that that's where they're lacking, I don't think that they're asking enough questions to further develop, right? Like, there are these other technology specific companies who specialize in a specific technology, like enforcement or mobile pay.
Compliance.
Yeah. Compliance.
Sounds better.
And, they're really going to their clients asking, what's going to make your operations better? What is going to make this asset more money? How are we going to provide and create a better guest experience?
Well, that's what product people are supposed to do, right? I mean, I even somewhat argue with our own product people who I've got a great product team. So this is no dig at anybody, but I mean, I think I've had the argument with every product team I've ever worked with is that you got to get out there. You got to talk to clients. You got to spend time. You got to, part of being product is not just managing engineering resources, it's actually also doing field research and looking at what everybody's doing. Okay, what are all my competitors doing? What do they do right? What do they do wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And then trying to think one level ahead, 2 chess moves ahead based on everything I see in the marketplace and all the things that are going on with technology. What's the next couple things that we could do that nobody's done yet, right? That's hard.
Yeah. Right.
It's hard to do, but it's certainly not something that you do in sort of a cursory, drive-by fashion.
Right. I totally agree.
Job.
Again, there's 2 fronts. I'll say it again. I think there's a collaboration of legal and legislation that needs to happen in our industry.
Yep.
And we're not doing it. Obama does it really well. The tolling industry does it really well. Right now
we're there. We just have to copy them.
That's right. Right now we're just sitting back, letting a politician or a news media run with a story that isn't true. And then the next thing you know, you've got legislation that's going to affect our industry forever. Yeah, sure. We have bad players. Certainly have bad players out there. So we need to police ourselves. And I think there's a group that's getting together that's going to do this. It's just a matter, are we going to align ourselves with the NPA, the IPMI?
Yeah.
Probably not, because they only seem interested, and it's not a knock. It's just their traditional model is they want to go and have a trade show and raise a bunch of money for themselves,
and not necessarily do the hard work,
and not do anything else.
Because it's hard work. Not suggesting they don't want to do hard work. I'm suggesting this is a whole different animal than running trade shows and writing articles and producing a magazine. Like this is lobbying efforts. This is
raising money, which we're gonna do. I'm full disclosure. We're gonna form an association, us and a group of other people, players in this space. And then we're going to raise a bunch of money, and then we're going to decide who we're going to align with.
Well,
and it may not be the parking industry, or it may. At this point, it doesn't seem like there's any interest to help our own industry, which, really,
sort of pathetic.
Yeah. And when I got to decide if I'm going to spend 30 grand, go down to New Orleans again, I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't.
As an industry, we all love to look in the rearview mirror and play Monday morning quarterback. Oh, that we shouldn't have done that. We shouldn't have. But this is in front of your face. Like there's something you can do right now about it. But in the rear view, it'll be like, oh wow, we should have done that, right? We should have done that. Because the tail wagged the dog. The dog didn't wag the tail. At the end of the day, we let the media or some single class action lawsuit or something in a market with somebody that ran with a story and, a junior reporter that thought they'll make the name for themselves over some bad parking article.
Right. So there was several years back, the debt collection industry, there was a smaller debt collection firm down in Florida that didn't have a lot of money. They got a lousy law firm to defend them in this lawsuit. And there was legislation. There was a ruling in that lawsuit that was pathetic to that industry. That whole industry woke up because they were like, holy shit, this affects everyone now. So then the industry came together, raised a bunch of money on the appeal and basically rescued this small company because they realized it affected everyone.
Yeah.
And that is the kind of mentality that our industry needs to happen, right? People that are in a lawsuit, there needs to be a collaboration of companies that come together and say, okay, this is how we handled it over here. This is how we handled
model for that. Like when I was in Chicago, all the parking operators were able to put aside their competitive differences to fight things like congestion pricing or, constant parking tax increases or, unreasonable sort of union
So
pressures.
did they do that on their own?
They formed an organization. I forget the acronym now for it. I can see the logo, but I can't think of the letters. It's sort of like your
So that's
metal block. But
that's kind of what we're doing.
It's the model. There's a model for that. There are just times when, as an industry, you have to say, yes, we're competitors, but we have there's a bigger threat here to all of our existential existences if we don't focus on it.
So you went into the Marine Corps. You're into parking after the military. Like, when the hell did you find time to get a law degree and become a CPA?
Let's just run through this really quick.
That's pretty amazing.
You are Todd Tucker.
I mean, let's be real. When we say loyalty, we've got it reminds me of Jose Barbosa. Do you know?
Oh, I know Jose.
So we were all sitting on our porch drinking beer during COVID with our laptops and kind of working. Jose went out and got a law degree and became a lawyer, right?
I don't think you realize he went to medical school before he did that. Just decided he didn't want to become a doctor after getting a doctoral degree in medicine.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that.
Medical degree and a law degree. He's a brilliant guy.
I love him.
And he's also one of the best poker players I've ever met in my life. Like, no, I don't think you guys realize he lives on a ranch he paid for with poker winnings in Texas.
Oh my gosh,
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Jose, if you're listening, we're going to come gunning for you on this show. You're going to be here.
Jose on here. He's one of the most interesting men alive.
I know.
He's very, very, very interesting.
I mean, I feel such a loser. Like COVID, I gained 25 pounds, drank beer on my back deck, and
did, John.
And Jose went out and became a lawyer.
We're all gonna get it. He's gonna send he's gonna, like, what is that, a cease and desist letter for talking about him. He's gonna be like, don't give away
me. Don't tell my secrets.
Don't tell my secrets.
Yeah.
Okay.
So where did you find time?
So wait, Todd. So Todd Tucker, you got a JD, DBA, CPP, CAPP. Are we missing anything there? I feel like we.
Wow.
Where do I start? I was a late bloomer in college. I remember coming out of the military, and all my friends were graduating from college, and I felt really behind, if you will. And so, and then I took a few more years before I really got going. But I always felt like I was trying to catch up. I probably have some sort of a complex that.
Jesus, you're one of those people. So
my whole life.
you fucking blew past everybody.
I got a accomplishment complex that probably emanates from just general insecurities. But no,
you have one of those personalities. I know some other people.
I can't stop. I get obsessed with things.
Yeah,
and I can't shut it down.
So my cousin Tommy is the same way. He's a professor up at CSU, and people were doing marathons, and Tommy went out and did marathons. That wasn't good enough for Tommy. So
what did he do? Triathlons?
Triathlons. But then he started doing this mountain run stuff that was 24 hours.
Oh yeah,
they
like
go
100
over
miles.
100 miles, like running 100 miles. So he would go out and practice
marathons.
Yeah,
those are psychotic.
Yeah, he'd go out and practice and be gone. He would leave at 7 a.m. and just go running and be back at like 8 o'clock
running,
at night.
I will say though that like running is really easy to become obsessed with. Like I am obsessed with running. Like I run all the time.
The endorphins, right? It's like a drug fix.
It's just if I need to go, like if I need to think about something, if I need to get something off my mind, you just go for a run, and by the time you're in it, you're like 10 miles.
So he's
in.
a little older now, so running is out of the not really in the cards anymore.
Something else, right?
Oh yeah, he taught himself how to play guitar, and he's like a country singer up in Fort Collins. And doing gigs in bars, and I've had him. He's done gigs down here in Denver, and it's
I love that.
He's got a following all of a sudden. It's unbelievable.
You want me to really bare my soul here on the
on the John and Dani
please
show?
Do. When I was growing up, and I don't want to sound like I had a rough life, like I have, middle to sort of middle of the range family from West Virginia, but I had a grandmother that was really, really mean to me. Like my dad's mom was not nice at all. And she told me 3 times a day for about 15 years what a piece of shit I was.
Jeez.
Like I heard that constantly.
Whoops. No.
Holy shit.
That was the wrong.
John.
I hit the wrong button. I'm sorry.
That was the mother of wrong buttons,
no.
You sadistic fuck.
Actually, that was the button I was looking for, folks.
I'll tell my psychiatrist about the moment that you damaged me further when I was trying to bare my soul.
Todd's never going on another podcast.
I know. I hit the wrong button. It was.
That's not even a gray button.
That was the one.
You sadistic fuck.
I know. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
All right.
Fuck.
So I got a grandmother that's mean as shit to me, and like it's every fucking day she told me what a piece of shit I was. Like never gonna amount to anything, and that we're all a product of our scars, right? That just never left me, and I feel like my whole life. And of course, she didn't just tell me; she told my whole family and all my friends and my dad, my mom, and everybody.
Jesus.
Constantly, what a piece of shit I was. And look, I'm not going to say I didn't earn a couple piece of shit stripes on my.
We all got a couple of those.
18 years old, being found face down in the front yard, drunk is not necessarily
not a golden moment.
Not a golden moment, but I'm 18 years old. Like, cut me some slack, right? I mean, I'm going to do stupid shit, right? Like,
so you don't have those moments now in your 50s?
I do, but I fall asleep in just nice hotel rooms.
Face down in a nice comfy bed.
Hotel room. I accidentally find my way onto somebody else's room, but at least I'm not on the lawn, right?
Right.
So anyway, I would say that if I'm psychoanalyzing myself and putting my psychiatrist hat on, Todd Brocious is a good friend of mine. He's a psychology major.
Love Todd.
He would enjoy psychoanalyzing me. He's very good at doing the psychology piece.
I wish we could have had you both on at the same time. That
I know.
He's
got his son is. We're going to be getting autographs from his son. I follow Todd on Facebook. He's got.
I'll digress for a second. Todd was going to be a pro himself. Like
wow.
He was going to be a baseball phenom.
He got the build for that. He looks like a ball player.
He was an amazing ball player, and of course he passed those genes on to his son, and he's a very proud dad these days.
Georgia Tech, right?
Yeah.
I see the stuff on Facebook. It's like, save an autograph for me, man. We'll put it up here on the.
And he's got that look too. Like he's just built for like being a famous. He's built for a baseball card, right?
Right.
He's
Absolutely. He will be that guy.
Living the time of his life, but no. So I think I have a complex that was sort of input in my brain at a young age by my grandmother, and I was just always trying to overcome that. And look, I don't have kids. So it's a lot easier when you don't have a family to do stuff. But I get obsessed with shit. I got obsessed with college. I got obsessed with chess. I got obsessed with
we're gonna have to play
all that shit for a while.
I'm a good chess player.
Got obsessed with firearms and shooting and becoming a world-class shooter. I get obsessed with things. I have to have some sort of obsession to like keep me anchored so I don't go crazy. Otherwise, I just go nuts. I don't know what I'm going to do when I'm like 90. I guess you know,
I mean, who knows?
shuffleboard or something.
Yeah.
I'll be obsessed with.
My obsession is beer drinking.
Obsessed
So
over then.
I had to drink the most beer. You know, I have to be the last person standing. You know, my obsession.
Mine is travel. Like recently, like
oh yeah, you've been done some cool trips.
I know you're freaking all over the place.
I am all over the place. And
he sent me a picture from where she was on a trip, and I was like, "That's not real."
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, when I went to
a travel brochure.
Yeah.
She's sent me a couple, and I'm like, oh my god, that's
I've been lucky enough to be able to see some really cool shit lately, and so like I was in Capri. No, I was in Capri when I sent you that.
Like,
yeah,
oh, this is where I'm looking at breakfast.
Yeah,
I'm like, bullshit.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like, no.
Where was John when you were there sending those great pics to everybody? I was in
like
Oak Brook, Illinois.
Yeah, I was like, you're in the Midwest
at the
somewhere.
last golf tournament.
Yeah.
It's almost
raining.
It's almost as good as the Capri coast of Italy. I mean,
which Tony DiPaolo, if you're listening, I love you, and I love the golf tournament.
One of my favorite people in park.
Yeah, we recorded while I was in. I was
she
in Ravello,
recorded all the way from
Italy.
and we had our producer Seth go.
Well, I was
which
like,
now we've graduated. Seth used to come. And he still does occasionally, but now everything's remote. So
I can't wait to hear. Yeah, this is our first go. Like, I wish that this wasn't, because you're such an important person to us, to like the community.
We fucked something up.
Oh my god!
I know. We got all our own
If
equipment.
we have to ask you to come back, we'll pay for it. Don't worry.
I know. Anyway, so we're the advanced degrees. You obviously knocked that clearly out of the park. You're way beyond most people. So that's an accomplishment. Now you're at the pinnacle. You're a CEO of Parking Logix, which I've met. Louis, which is the founder, and I think the parent company is a toll company out of Montreal. Yeah, and he's
an amazing guy. Great fan. The Newman family, they've been very good to me. I'm coming up on my 1 year. So Louis is sort of the CEO, founder, patriarch of it all, if you will. Built a $75-80 million company from scratch. It's true, like Jewish immigrant from started with just the change in his pockets, and built this incredible company based out of Montreal with about 300 employees in 36 countries, and just an amazing company. And so I'm very blessed that Louis and I found each other, and it's funny.
I got to know him at Winter Leadership a little bit, not in my short time with him. I'm sure you had offers, millions of offers all over the board. And when I met him, it was like, I was like, I could totally understand.
It was so funny. He and I just celebrated our 1 year anniversary. We were joking because we met at Pi a year ago, and I took a meeting with him. I already had my eyes set on another job, and had sort of made up my mind, but I took the meeting anyway. And I think he and I both were comparing notes on the way back. We're like, who is this fucking guy? Right. He was doing that to me, and I was doing it to him. Right. And we sat down there, like sort of in defensive mode with our shields up. And, I think his first words to me were like, I'm looking at your resume. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. You're going to have to explain yourself to me. Like, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Don't forget about accountant, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, what is all this shit?
You're like the what is his name? Levin, Mark Levin of parking. Because Mark Levin if you don't know.
Guy?
No, he's got his own radio show, but that guy is a lawyer, a doctor, a CPA. Like, he's got every degree known to man, and he's risen and got certifications in everything. So I listen to people that say
the same insecurities.
So Mark Levin, I hear people that go, "Oh, Mark Levin's an idiot." It's like, really? Mark Levin's an idiot? Like, he's a medical doctor.
People say that about me.
I know. I was going to say, I don't think anyone would ever say that about Todd Tucker. But
yeah, I mean, come on.
Oh, there are a few people that would say I'm an idiot. Trust me.
Yeah, they're very few and far between.
And then there's other.
We're gonna be putting out we're doing the parking prom, by the way.
Oh.
So we're gonna be.
You mentioned that too.
So we're gonna be putting out a survey, and we've narrowed it down to some candidates, and so for the king and queen, and then we're gonna put it out to the industry to vote. So
that's fun.
You're in the final list, so we're gonna see how the votes tally at the end. They'll be coming out in a couple weeks.
Oh,
So.
I told John, I was like, oh, so this is actually a great question too. Sorry we derail a lot if you can't. We got
to keep it entertaining.
That's what podcasts are about.
So I'm trying to convince John that next year we'll actually do this in person. Like we'll hold a parking prom in person. Like
I think
like
we should do it at the new
like
parking today with Kevin. You and Knocker will fit it into that accelerate.
But because what I'm finding out is like a lot of people that I've talked to in the industry didn't go to their senior prom. Did you go to your senior prom?
I went to...
Or your junior... Did you...
This is so bizarre. I went to my prom the year after I graduated because my girlfriend in high school was still a senior. So I went to her senior prom, but I didn't go to my own. I was a little bit of a nerd back then.
That's such a nice boyfriend though. Because when I was a senior, I was dating...
I was like that geeky kid from a John Hughes film.
Yeah.
Like I was not cool at all.
No,
I sat in the limousine and got
though.
stoned and drunk right outside the entry with the principal and the guidance counselor.
And got in a limo and we don't know what happened.
For those just looking at me going, wait till you come inside, which I never came inside. I sat outside in the limousine.
You have no power.
That's right.
When I was
drinking outside.
The limousine is off limits to you.
When I was a senior in high school, I didn't go to my senior prom because I was dating, my boyfriend at the time was a freshman in college.
Oh, you were one of those.
He
girls.
was like, I'm not. He was like, I'm not coming back for your prom.
These boys in high school just can't.
That was Danielle Cooper for us. If Danielle's listening, Danielle Cooper was always too cool for our class.
No, I wasn't. I actually was not that cool.
You're the Cooper
of. I was like, I wasn't that cool. I was class president from 6th grade till 11th grade. So for many, many years, and then my senior year, I wasn't. So I was like,
you were too cool.
No. So anyways, but my boyfriend at the time wouldn't come back for my senior prom. So I didn't go to prom. And he was like, if I'm not, I know, right. Thank goodness. Yeah, I agree, guys.
I mean, what a dick.
I agree. I'm going to send this podcast to his mom this episode.
Yeah. I know.
Your son's a disappointment.
Your son's stupid. Fucking stupid.
First of many failures was not.
Didn't take me to my senior prom. God damn it. And I only got to go to my homecoming dance. Because I made homecoming court. And so he made
you were royalty.
End of the food chain.
So I never got.
She already said that she was a homecoming court. She was a class president. There was the other end of the food chain for me. I was.
Me too. I was too. I was the outlaw. I was the outlaw. So it wasn't political. The teachers had involvement in who was going to be court and who wasn't. Let's face it. And there was no way John Conway was going to be anywhere near that fucking royalty court.
And like I could not show up right to like any of the homecoming activities because I was on court. So that was the only reason why.
So we've got
I got to go.
The prom, the par king and the
par queen
out there. So
awesome.
You've made the final.
I'm honored.
There's like 4 or 5 people in your category. So we'll see how the industry votes.
I'm honored.
And then so
we actually might throw it live this year. So
I think you're at that point with this podcast.
Yeah.
Where you're popular enough that you.
Why would we do virtual? That's so fucking boring.
Yeah.
Like we're not going to do a prom that's
you could broadcast
virtual.
it, but you could it'd be like the
maybe we'll do
PRS
it
Expo,
at we'll do it at NPA.
Maybe we'll
that would be cool.
Yeah. We'll
Talk about interesting, like just have this set up, have people there, but like
at the booth.
Have a gallery.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to press the button anymore.
Well, you know how
you'd have real claps.
I think you're right.
Yeah. No fake claps.
You can press the button that says applause up there.
No wrong buttons. No wrong buttons. Like at MPA, IPMI, and all the conferences, like in the afternoon or the evening, they have like the parties. We'll have a prom party.
The PRS party.
And it'll be a prom.
Yeah.
Bring your ball gowns.
PRS, Park Mobile, and Park Hub. We always, the 3 Ps do a party.
3 Ps.
Yeah. So, okay. So we've got, now we're at Parking Logix.
Yeah.
After all the academic achievements and experiences.
I was happy that, and again, still very, very, very important part of my life. And I have nothing bad to say there.
I do have to tell one more story. Sorry to interrupt.
Me, but,
about Louis.
Oh yeah.
So in my time meeting him at Winter Leadership, we're sitting at this table and my wife has a friend from Iran, literally, and my wife speaks fluent Farsi.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
and
okay.
So there's Lily, who's from Iran, who lives here, migrated to the U.S., is my wife's best friend, like literally best friend. And so my wife has grown up kind of with her family, And so my wife is an Italian blonde who can speak fluent Farsi. So they're kind of talking, and Louis was kind of, and so I'm sitting in between. I won't name names, but there's somebody that's sitting next to me in between Louis and I, and he was really having a conversation with Louis. But, he's one of those guys that's, I'm not going to, whatever.
Storyteller.
I feel like I should be in charge of the buttons.
He's just one
right
of those
now.
guys that's not very interesting. You know what I mean? And you just don't really want to have a conversation with. Full disclosure. And so literally Louis turned to my wife and Lily and started having a conversation right in the middle of his conversation. And he was like, well, and it was just funny the way it went down. But it was Louis' personality. I mean, he was, you know what I mean? He's very, he's unsuspecting, but he was, you could tell, it was just he wasn't interested, and he wanted to move on. And this person probably would have sat there and talked all day.
We all got our pros and cons. And Louis has no filter. Louis.
I love that.
And I imagine when I'm 76 years old and I've built a giant company and I've at the end of my career in terms of working my ass off for, 3/4 of a century.
No bullshit.
I'm probably going to be done with bullshit too. I don't have time to talk about your bullshit. If you entertain me or die, right?
I honestly, I feel like I'm already there.
I'm well on my way to that. I'm the curmudgeon-y word we used earlier. I'm already a curmudgeon-y old man. So Louis and I met that first time at Pi. And we sort of had no expectations, and we sort of slowly fell in love with each other over a couple month period. And here I am. And look, I was going to say, Flash is still a very important part of my life, and love those guys. But I was really at that point in my career. I was like, I got to do more. I was ready to try to see if I could actually be the guy that runs something. The jury's still out. I know if the plane may still hit the side of a mountainside, but I was not at a place where I was feeling like I was able to really spread my wings. And so Louis given me that opportunity. Parking Logix has. We had a phenomenal first year.
Awesome.
I won't take credit for that other than maybe making some good suggestions. Most of the people.
Don't sell yourself short though. I mean,
there's a lot of good people there, and there's challenges like everywhere, but I've been having fun. I've been having a blast. And parking guidance, occupancy detection, wayfinding.
I was going to say, give us a real quick 20,000.
Yeah, I got to plug, right?
Plug.
I don't know. Everybody's got a different moniker in their name for what they call this space, but I probably call it, wayfinding and occupancy detection. It's not the sexiest thing. When we were at Flash, we were doing deals with Google and Apple and having all these amazing, tip of the spear type digital sale conversations that were a lot more sexy and, played in the room better. But as I came to, dig into the technology a little bit, what I'm doing now and what Parking Logix is doing now is so integral to all of the other systems. It's just a piece. It's not the whole, again, back to our collaboration discussion. It's a piece that needs to collaborate with everybody else, but nobody else is really doing it the right way,
Right.
And so the ability to sort of see that and say, okay, I see the opening, right? I see the opening, and we've got probably a limited couple years to do it. But, a really inexpensive technology that is easy to deploy, easy to install, and that fills a very, 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 very evident need that often is the last thing that people think about
filling. So if people are interested in doing a partnership, or if there's operators or somebody out there interested in your technology, who obviously they would go to a website.
Yeah,
so you could Google Parking Logix. It'll come up. I've Googled it.
Yep.
Who would they reach out to? Would they reach out to you?
They can start with me. I love having conversations about this. I mean, look, we're a small, 25, 30 person firm. So there's no egos anywhere. We all do it. We all pull triple duty. So yeah, www.parkinglogix, Logix with an X.com, and happy to discuss. We're the coolest little, you talk about being a startup. There's a lot of things about us are like a startup, but yet the traffic division of our company is 20 years old and has 30,000 installs around the world. So I've got this rich uncle that I can go to if times get tough. But so it's nice to sort of be a startup and have this piece of the business, but have this safety net under me a little bit. And I think that's a unique place to be. I didn't have that safety net when we were at Arrive and ParkWiz.
Yep.
Right.
We were flying solo there. So yeah, great company, having a lot of fun. company's got about 1,000 installs, which I think is the biggest of anybody in our space, honestly, because they've been around for 10 years and doing a good job. And so
I know we found a way to collaborate.
PRS is collaborating. We're collaborating with Oakview Group.
Yep.
We're collaborating with Modi. I'd love to give a shout out to Modi. They've been great partners. They're a really good example of somebody who's got a better platform, and they're bringing lots of disparate
it just dawned on me.
And
I think Parking Logix should sponsor the podcast. What do you think?
I told you we would.
All right. All right.
That was already out there.
I will say, you said occupancy detection, right?
Yep.
I think that's a really sexy word, like phrase in parking. I will say
cranial.
that.
It's cranial.
Well, because, we at OVG, we thrive off of occupancy data. We have to because of kind of our model, right? We love the free flow model for so many different reasons. And that's one of the things that we struggle with is occupancy.
Well, there's two delusions in this space that I love to attack. The one delusion is that, I've got parking equipment. It'll do what you do. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
There's almost nobody in the industry.
I could blow that up.
Right. There's almost even at the parking companies. And my very good friends at Amano and Flash, they'll tell you this is not what we do. To your point earlier about stay in your lane and focus on what you're good at, this is just not what they're there to do. And even if they did do it well, you're still only getting ingress, egress. You're not getting zones. You're not getting levels. You're not getting nesting areas. You're not getting single space counts. You're not doing all the interesting things you can do inside of a garage when you have occupancy systems,
right?
Like we have, and so that's one delusion. The other delusion is that the red light, green light systems that we see from like Park Assist and Parking Guidance, which are fine people. I've got friends over there. That it's extremely expensive to do this stuff. And
I know
only casinos and hospitals and municipalities or airports can afford to do this. And that's the sweet spot. Like my evangelizing mission with Parking Logix, this stuff is not that expensive to do and put everywhere. And it unlocks this whole new level of richness to
honestly, though,
a lot that you didn't have before.
Yeah, when you're looking at that kind of infrastructure that somebody's got to put in, it's only a matter of time before that infrastructure is blown out the door with some camera technology.
Right. It's too much. It's too heavy.
Yeah.
It's too heavy. And look, I've got dear friends over there.
I do too.
I'm sorry.
If
I owned a parking garage and you told me that you could do the same thing with wireless technology or cameras as you could with running like 4 million lines of Ethernet cable across these overhead things. And it just doesn't, and it's so expensive. I mean, and I've got so many examples where
I've got a lot of friends in a lot of different technologies, and it's hard for me to, you might want to say something, but you don't want to, people have to find out on their own.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, I don't negative sell,
I don't either.
But I know when somebody's going down a rabbit hole of this other firm and it's like, it's going to be, I'm saying to myself, my last word to you is it's going to be more expensive when you call me back. Right?
That's fun. And that's a fun position to be in. Like
that's where we're at. And when I hear somebody say, oh, well, they gave me a price, you have to match it. I'm not matching. This is for everybody listening. I'm not matching anything.
Yeah.
We know what we do. We're the best at what we do. I'm a little biased, but I'm not matching anything.
Well,
so.
It's funny because like you're on the other side and I'm on the opposite side where we really do. We do the research. We are in the technology every single day in what we do, right? We talk with all the different vendors. And so sometimes it's like, oh, well, all you guys do is you guys are so gung-ho about this one particular technology. You're so biased about it and you just shove it down our throats. And I'm like, if there was someone else better, I would be doing the same thing. Like, this is what we do. We are able to really assess each asset and come to them to be like, hey, these different technologies are going to suit exactly your needs.
You're bespoke. You're making a bespoke outcome.
And
now,
I'm like,
if I owned a property, if I owned a big event venue, I would not want someone to Brocious wrote an article about this recently. Like, you have to almost be technology agnostic. And I probably am pissing off some people out there that want to sell you everything in one store, but you have to find the best. There's almost no situation where one company is going to do everything that a complex event operation like OVG has. One vendor is going to be able to do it all end to end perfectly.
I read that article. Getting in the trenches.
Yep.
Todd's a smart guy.
I mean, you have to be technology agnostic. And when you find the best, and if there's a different vendor that can do it better, then guess what? great.
So this is
then
the
we're-
longest.
that's who we're gonna.
This is the longest podcast we've ever had, and I guarantee you, it'll be the most popular because
absolutely,
everyone will listen to. We have we have royalty.
Oh my god!
So we're at.
Well, we did have a break,
had a
though.
5 or 6 minute. So we're at about an hour. Anything over an hour, it's considered a long time.
Oh,
so
I'm sorry. Am I?
No. We could. No, my point is we could sit here and talk forever, but we don't have forever.
I get it.
So we probably should have you back.
I'm happy to come back.
Yeah. Thank you for coming and traveling here and all kinds of things.
Well, and yeah, thank you. As John said, thank you for coming to Denver. I know you're here for the expo as well. So, but the timing worked out. The timing worked out perfectly. And on here, it took us so long to ask you because we were from day one. I think from season 1, I remember telling John, we got to have Todd Tucker on. We have to have Todd Tucker on. We have to have Todd Tucker on.
I was secretly waiting to be on it. I think you guys have really done a really good job marketing this and like making it a thing. And like when people start wanting to be on your podcast,
we have a lot of fun. Like we want to,
we have a lot of people that reach out. So
because we make it educational, but we make it fun. We make it, we want it to be, easy listening
Dani's
and
the
entertaining.
Howard Stern of parking.
Oh God.
What do you think? Baby.
Probably not, but
I'm not a big Stern fan anymore.
Yeah,
I know.
It's a bad reference.
I know. Well, it was at one point.
Remember Joe Rogan? How about we give him
we're the Rogan. Remember the early days? I mean, he was something else. Now he's turned into some. When he left his first wife and his family for the porn star, I think that was when he lost me. So
did he really?
I think so. Yeah.
Well, I won't be doing that. I don't have a family to leave, so it's fine.
Let's have a porn star on.
Yeah, so we're good there. But yeah,
anyway, thank you
for
very
saying
much.
Yes. And we have to say, because you're just so full of knowledge, and thank you for everything.
You will be back because I have a feeling, who knows? I think when the industry, when all said and done and the dust settles, you'll probably be my prediction is you'll be the par king. Is that what it is?
Probably
for 2024, baby.
I would never presume that, but would be honored to be in whatever category.
Before we leave, because I know
I'm at
everyone
everyone
wants to know, what else would you love to share? You shared some wonderful things on what our feedback here.
Yeah,
so
I'm trying to remember what I said.
Yeah,
I think I'll start from the bottom up there. I just told you my secret of the world about negativity and its impact on you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that last quote there, the thoughts you have, I'm paraphrasing, Marcus Aurelius said it better than I did, but the thoughts you have control your reality, so control your thoughts.
Absolutely.
Right? So when you're being bombarded with those negative thoughts, you control your reality, and you can let it consume you, or you can let it not consume you. So control your thoughts, and and those demons that speak evils to you.
Right.
It sounds hard. It feels hard, but it's really that simple.
Right.
And it takes a long time to do it. But so that would be one. Enjoy every moment, parking or otherwise. Life is short. The world around us right now is an absolute fucking shit show. Yep. So
totally agree.
I get up every day like, am I dead yet? Like,
stay safe.
Hit? Like,
no, I get to. I'm thankful. I get to park. I get to park some cars today.
Park a car again.
I get up every day, load, and put it in my jeans, and there we go.
And the last thing I would say is, everyone be kind to each other, especially competitors. I guarantee there are people that are going to listen to this that I go way back with, and I'm sure I wronged or treated poorly when I was coming up. And so for all those people, I apologize.
Forgiveness,
But it is about forgiving, and you might work for them one day, or they may work
for you.
That's right.
You might work for a competitor one day. You never know.
World. So be kind to everybody. That's my big message.
Well, thank you very much for coming. And it's another episode in the books. What do you want to say parting out of this, Dani?
No, I'm thankful. I'm so thankful and grateful to have had Todd here, and always great conversations as usual, and grateful for my co-host as well.
All right. Grateful for you. Peace out.
Peace out, guys.
All right.